for the Cavaliers and the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls with 5 straight wins. Cavaliers have won 7 in a row. We'll be back with the action in a moment. To the Coliseum in Richfield, Ohio. Marv Albert with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello. As you see, just a shade over 4 minutes have gone by in the first quarter, and the Cavaliers lead the Bulls by the score of 13-8. The Cavaliers in the white. That's Brad Daugherty setting up on Bill Cartwright, getting the ball, and the Cavs have come out hitting 6 of 7 from the field, and they now lead 15-8.
And as you saw Daugherty's basket take place, there was no double team. He feels he has no problem scoring against Chicago, providing they don't start double teaming.
Chicago Bulls come in at 55-22. They've won 13 of the last 15. They're a half game behind the Knicks in the race for the top spot of the Eastern Conference for home court advantage in the playoffs. Cleveland, Mike, at 50-27, and they are locked into 3rd seed in the East. The Cavs have won 7 straight, and they have done it at home. Very successful record of 32-6 at home, and they've won 17 of the last 18.
Shouldn't be surprising because you have the league's best shooting team in the Cleveland Cavaliers shooting right at 50% for the season.
Mark Boyce with a beautiful stroke. Cavaliers 19 and the Bulls 8.
As you're going through the standings there, you notice that Cleveland is basically locked into the 3rd spot. A little different last year. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals before losing. They, if they should get past the first round, would have to meet either New York or Chicago in round 2 this year.
Armstrong getting the treatment off the air ball. Scottie Pippen with the steal. Here's Pippen for 3. Yes! Scottie Pippen has struggled recently, but he's able to drill it from 3-point land. Cavs now lead 19-11.
As Michael Jordan did also, Scottie Pippen out very early prior to the game, working on his shot. He knows he's struggled with it, but he doesn't feel he has to force the shots right now. They'll come the big thing as the team's winning.
Bill Cartwright is charged with his second. Brad Daugherty will go to the line. Cleveland Cavaliers, the excellent free throw shooting team in recent years, did have its problems. Friday night, as they beat Orlando here in Cleveland, 113-110. They were only 21 for 32 from the line.
As I mentioned a short while ago with Daugherty and the matchup against Cartwright, Brad Daugherty doesn't feel that he has a problem scoring one-on-one against Bill Cartwright. Cartwright does a very good job defensively against most centers in the league. It's when Chicago starts sending Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Grant on the double teams, the athleticism of those people causes him a problem passing out of those double teams.
Cavaliers 21 and the Bulls 11. John Paxson has checked in. Bill Cartwright sitting down. So the Bulls are going with the combination of Paxson and now Jordan in the backcourt. Will Purdue has come on. DJ Armstrong departing. 12 on the shot clock for the Bulls. Paxson still bothered by the knee problem. Says it is game to game as Horace Grant hits on his second field goal. Cavaliers with a 21-13 lead. Place with the whip pass inside, and Daugherty was hit from behind.
And you'll see Brad Daugherty do that every once in a while during the course of the game, almost similar to Robert Parrish with Boston. Take off, sneak down the floor, try and get a quick one in transition. This time he beats the Bulls to that inside spot.
Daugherty is 4 for 4 from the line. He is the number 2 man in field goal percentage. 57% shooting, right behind Cedric Ceballos of the Phoenix Suns. Cavaliers 23 and the Bulls 13. Chicago Friday night at home beat Milwaukee 119-105. Foul on Sanders. Michael Jordan with 47 points on Friday, 22 in the first quarter.
The reason that mismatch took place at that time with Grant being guarded by Sanders because Cleveland, after free throws, likes to do a little press involving their foreman at Nance. That time he got caught out of position, so Sanders had to pick up for him.
Now Michael Jordan continues to hear it from the crowd. Price for Nance. The Cavaliers have hit 9 in a row and lead 25-13.
Interesting to note how much of the Cavalier offense, as Jordan tried for the backdoor lob, but a little bit too long, how much of the Cavalier offense has come in transition as opposed to coming down and running their half-court game. In transition, the pick and roll, Nance slides the screen, gets to the open spot, and then knocks out a jumper.
Price. The Cavaliers had hit 9 in a row. They're now 9 for 11 from the field in the quarter. Pippen off the spin. Scottie Pippen. Off to the good start. He has 7. Cavaliers now lead 25-15. And Lenny Wilkins wants a timeout with 4:32 remaining in the first quarter.
Now, I was talking to Michael Jordan earlier, and I asked him why he enjoys so many good games against Cleveland. He said there's a couple of reasons. One, he gets really motivated because he figures that the fans here boo him more than any other arena in the league. And two, that they don't double team him as much. I told him that, you know, he had scored 40 points 18 times in his career here. He looked back at me and winked and said, after the day, make that 19. Mark?
Oh, a little confidence. Thanks, Ahmad. Michael, though, only 1 for 4 here at the start, but we are very early. Jordan pokes it away, but it's recovered by Nance. Yes, Michael does like the single coverage. He'll be facing either Craig Elo or Gerald Wilkins. He comes off the bench. Shot clock at 5 as Sanders was able to get it away. And back comes the Bulls. Cavaliers lead by 10 off the good shooting at the start. They're 9 for 12 from the field. 4 minutes remaining in this opening quarter. Shot clock at 5. Jordan around Elo.
With the shot clock running down, Chicago is just about to set that screen so that Jordan could use the two-man game. What it did is open up the baseline drive.
And here's Price again on the penetration. Paxson leads a 4-on-2. Pippen takes it all the way and draws the foul.
With the shot clock down around 6, your teammate comes to give you some help, but instead you see the opening baseline. Michael takes it with the long first step and turns the corner, this time going left around Craig Elo.
And the foul was called on Sanders, putting Scottie Pippen at the line. The officials this evening, Hugh Evans, Terry Durham, and Ronnie Nunn. And there is Gerald Wilkins checking it for the first time. Sanders, who was hit with his second foul, sitting down. Sanders leads with 4 points. Gerald Wilkins has been used both as a small forward and in the backcourt. And let's see what the matchup is here. Gerald Wilkins, as the Bulls go to a trap. Gerald Wilkins is playing at a small forward position. Price picks up the foul.
Many times after free throws, Chicago will put the press on full court at 100, as they call it, meaning 100% of the court. This time they put it on at 75, three-quarter court, and the reach around, the flick attempt by Paxson, instead the foul against Mark Price.
Phil Jackson telling us earlier that he is looking to go more and more to the trap, to the pressure defense, perhaps looking ahead to a matchup with the Knicks in the playoffs.
It's a team who scores so many points off of the turnovers that they were used to forcing the last couple of seasons, get those easy transition scores. Right now, forced turnovers, the Bulls rank 5th in the NBA.
Once again, Jordan hears it from the crowd as he puts the move on, and a gorgeous setup for Will Purdue. They doubled up on Jordan, and it left Purdue open. Cavaliers now lead by 6 as we come up on 3 minutes remaining. First quarter. Nance. Larry Nance has hit on 3 out of 3 for 6 points. Cavaliers have an 8-point advantage. Grant posting up. Purdue trying to go glass. Price on the run. Wilkins challenges Jordan.
There was no fear that time in Gerald Wilkins. He was taking it right at Michael Jordan athleticism is great on both players' ends of it, and as a result, he competes. He really challenges. Here, he sees Michael getting back in transition, but doesn't slow down one bit as he finishes off the fast break.
Wilkins, a starter the first 8 games this season, and was used coming off the bench. Went back to a starting role with Mike Sanders sitting out because of the arthroscopic surgery on the left knee. And now Sanders is back, and it provides Lenny Wilkins with more depth coming off the bench because then he comes in later with John Hot Rod Williams.
Speaking with Lenny yesterday, Lenny Wilkins mentioned that it gives them the ability to match Chicago when Chicago goes with a real small team on the floor, something they had a problem doing in past seasons. Now with Wilkins and Sanders, they have enough guys that they can manipulate and match up defensively against the Chicago Bulls.
Trent Tucker, who just checked in, handling against Mark Price. Shot clock is running down. Down to 2 on the 24 as the ball was deflected out of bounds. Price playing Tucker very well, and the crowd responding to that defensive sequence by the Cavs. Here is Purdue rejected. It's a 24-second violation.
Cavaliers are one of the better shot-blocking teams in the NBA. They get almost 7 block shots a game, which puts them in the number 4 spot when you rank the teams in the league. With the shot clock running down, and you know a guy's got to get one up, well, it makes it a little bit easier to anticipate and get a block.
Substitution being played in. Stacey King comes on for the first time, replacing Will Purdue. Cavaliers have been on fire in this opening quarter. 11 of 15 from the field and 10 for 10 from the line. As a result, they lead by 12.
When you look up on the scoreboard, we realize that Cleveland is the best shooting team. Turn over that time by Price. Best shooting team in the league, therefore you figure they're going to score a lot of points. Well, they're 8th in the league in scoring points. But on the other side of it, the Chicago Bulls only give up just over 98 points per game, which is second best in the NBA. Here already, with a minute and a half remaining in the first quarter, we have 33 points for the Cavaliers.
Well, Brandon, second-year man from Oregon, has replaced Mark Price. 6 points, 4 assists for Mark. Horace Grant, rebounded by Brad Daugherty. And this is Brandon with it. Likes to put the dribble between the legs occasionally, as you saw. Brandon and Elo in the backcourt. Daugherty, Wilkins up front. Got the step. Oh, big move by Nance.
And Grant was so used to Nance using 3 or 4 dribbles to back his way down and then get his jump shot, and the big move caught him by surprise.
Brandon out. Again, the Cavaliers on the run. Wilkins from deep. Elo. Cavaliers are all over the court. They're all over the ball. They're out-hustling the Bulls here in the first quarter. The end result, 37-21 lead. Tucker for 3. Grant and a new 24 for Chicago. The Cavs in the midst of a 10-0 run. Here is Michael Jordan. He's fouled. Hacked by Gerald Wilkins.
This time, instead of putting it down 3 or 4 times, a quick look to the middle, drop step, 1 dribble, get to the rim, catches Grant by surprise. Larry Nance with the move.
Michael Jordan gunning for his 7th straight scoring title, averaging 32.7 per game. 47 for Michael against Milwaukee. On Friday night, he has scored 40 or more 15 times this season.
Now you see the defense extended by Chicago. This is the full court version of the press you saw a few minutes ago.
Down to 10 seconds in the quarter. Daugherty handling, going all the way. Grant got a piece of it. Final seconds. Tucker. Well, Trent had the shot, but instead tried to give it up. It is Chicago ball, deflected out by Cleveland. 9/10 of a second remaining in the quarter.
When to shoot, when to pass. That time, the right thing would have been to take this shot attempt. He had a clear path to the basket.
Now Pippen on the return for 3. It's waved off. Would not have counted. Well, the Cavaliers hit 13 of 19 from the field. Larry Nance showing perfection. 4 out of 4. 10 points. Cavaliers 27. And the Bulls 23 after 1 here at the Coliseum in Richfield. Well, a fast start for Lenny Wilkins and his Cleveland Cavaliers. Lenny Wilkins with 865 career wins now. That vaults him past Jack Ramsey into the number 2 spot all time behind Arnold Red Auerbach, who had 938 in 20 seasons. So Lenny Wilkins hitting number 865 the other night with the victory over Orlando. Cleveland 13 of 19 from the floor. At one point they hit 9 straight. Chicago did not shoot well at 8 on 23. Pippen got the stat, and Scottie Pippen looks to be right back on target. He's 4 for 6, and he has 11 points.
With a very determined look on his face. He knew that time that he had to continue, did that shoulder, don't give up trying to turn the corner. Once he saw the opening net, his ability to follow through and complete.
Ahmad Williams, who just checked in his Stacey King came over to help. Scott Williams on the floor for the first time for the Bulls. King called for that foul.
A moment ago was Elo, who is a very good defender, playing Pippen. Scottie sees the opening. The next defensive player steps up, who happens to be Daugherty, but the concentration and the ability to convert by Scottie Pippen.
Ahmad Williams had his troubles at the line the other night. Missed 4 out of 6 at the line in the fourth quarter. The Cavaliers turning it around at the free throw line. The 11 for 11 for the game. Michael Jordan getting a rest, sitting down after 6 points in the first quarter, hitting on 2 out of 6. Cavaliers 39 and the Bulls 25. Armstrong, yes. Armstrong for Williams. Now here's pressure again by Chicago. Armstrong staying with Brandon. Ahmad Williams back to help. They double up on him. Wilkins over to help. They double up on him. Now 10 on the 24. Elo around Williams. Elo. Stacey King comes up hobbling. Stacey looking to hang in. Shot clock down to 7. Here's Daugherty, fouled by Scott Williams. Phil Jackson did not like the call.
Pippen makes the rotation over, but Greg Elo converts with body contact taking place. And now understanding that King likes to go left. He's a left-handed player. He gets the lane, gets the score, and almost hurts an ankle. After driving left, King comes down, lands on the side of his ankle. The result, the turn ankle, was worked on during that timeout. Chip Schaefer, the trainer for the Chicago Bulls. And obviously a little bit of pain.
Yes, it's a sprained right ankle suffered by Stacey King. That is the first free throw miss for the Cavaliers. They hit their first 12. 2 minutes gone by. Second quarter. And Cleveland in command by the score of 42-29. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad from the Coliseum in Richfield. Purdue facing the double team. Again a double team, this time on Pippen. Nice pass by Purdue. Scott Williams was fouled.
So some excellent interior passing by big people from the Chicago Bulls. We saw some excellent defense by the Cavaliers recovering and getting a piece of that. Unusual when you see big people throwing so many good interior passes, one to the hole, one a little backdoor pass, and then Wilkins knocking it free to give the ball back to the Chicago Bulls.
Non-shooting foul. Bulls get the new 24. Here's Pippen for three. Scottie Pippen with his second three-pointer of the game.
You see the unselfishness of the Chicago Bulls, swinging the ball side to side, getting 4 or 5 touches in the half-court offense, and then you get a guy who knocks him down and makes it even better.
So Chicago now down by 10, and it will be Chicago ball. Substitution, Larry Nance returning. Brad Daugherty will sit down, leaves with 9.
And you don't see that type of turnover take place from either one of these teams during the regular season. The Bulls lead the NBA in fewest turnovers at 13.5 a game, and the Cavaliers are second right behind them, actually at 13.6.
Cavaliers have had a hot shooting first half. They're 14 for 20 to this point. Michael Jordan is getting set to return. Tucker does it off the dribble. Rebounded by Nance. This the fifth and final game of the regular season between these two clubs. They split the first two. The Bulls won the first two here and then in Chicago. The Cavs have taken the last two here in Cleveland. And in Chicago, Michael Jordan breathing as he makes his way back. Scottie Pippen will get a rest. Scottie 5 out of 7 for 14 points. He's hit 2 from downtown. Ahmad Williams with it. No movement by Cleveland. Shot clock at 5. Ahmad off a double team. Just 2 feet from 24.
When you play against them, when you coach against them, you realize how big this Cleveland Cavalier team can be depending on who they put on the floor. You start out with Daugherty and Nance, you come off the bench with Ahmad Williams. This is a team with size down low. That's why they shoot so well and score so well, being close to the bench.
Michael Jordan over Sanders. 8 points for Jordan. Wilkins calling a play as he is greeted by his one-time New York Knicks teammate Trent Tucker. Wilkins to the spin, and Tucker knocked it away. And Trent claiming it was last touched by Wilkins, and he does get the call.
The swipe, the hand in, the ball comes free from Wilkins, and then the official feels that it rolls off of his leg, and it certainly does. The right leg of Gerald Wilkins knocks it out of bounds.
Cavaliers with a 10-point lead. Scott Williams, 4. Trent Tucker, that's in trouble. Tucker trying to set up for the 3. Called for steps.
And that's something that's happened with Trent Tucker throughout his career. The ability to step on a dime and shoot it, he's not real comfortable with that. He's much better when he has his feet set. And he's not really a jump shooter off the dribble.
Mark Price makes his return as you take another look at Tucker trying to pull up. Call for the travel. Price and Brandon now in the backcourt. Nance, Sanders, and Williams up front. Nance drawing a double team. Nice look away. Jordan for the cutting Scott Williams.
As the Bulls filled their lanes, that middle spot was wide open. Williams saw it, just ran right to it. He knows that Michael Jordan will find him if he's there.
Well, Cleveland has led by as many as 16. They now lead by 8. 5 minutes in. Second quarter. Sanders being talked to by Jordan. Hot rod Williams again just did beat the 24-second buzzer. Hot rod 2 out of 2, 6 points in all. Cleveland by 10. Here's Jordan. Well, Michael Jordan now being guarded by Mike Sanders, and he's come up with a couple of nifty passes.
Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, the 2 leading people on the Chicago Bulls as far as the scoring, but with assists because they run their offense through those 2 players.
Brandon with the fake. Got caught down to 7. Williams called for the offensive foul. And a timeout has been called with 6:13 remaining in the first half.
Michael Jordan finding his teammates in transition at 6'6", able to look over the top of the defense or beating his man off the dribble and creating for someone else, a different player.
Concerning European star Tony Kukoc and his impending signing with the Chicago Bulls the past 2 years. Well, our Pete Vesey reported earlier that Kukoc will sign with the Bulls and join them next season. Will he be welcomed by the Chicago Bulls? We talked about that with Scottie Pippen.
Well, I think he would be more than welcome with the Bulls. I think he can bring us some depth to our team. I think he's a very talented ball player, and the only thing I have against that is I just hope we can keep our team together and take care of our guys who are here and who've made this team what we are today.
The feelings have somewhat changed over the past 2 seasons. You go back 2 years ago to when Chicago first started speaking with Kukoc, and not all the Bulls were real happy about him joining because it basically was going to take some money away from those players and a concern about losing a teammate that you've been playing with for a season or two. Now, they're willing to accept him, but no one right now is really that concerned because it's not going to happen until next season. But they do understand that he's a very skilled and talented player, and obviously if he can help them win long term, they like that.
Are there questions in your mind, though, about Kukoc in the NBA?
Yeah, I do have questions. I have reservations because playing against this competition night in and night out, it's one of those wait-and-see type of things. When he gets here and matches up against NBA players, how good will he be? And I think from the interview with Peter Vesey, he questions can he do it on a regular basis.
Michael Jordan called for that foul, his second. That prompted the reaction from the crowd. 5.5 remaining in this first half. Price lost it. B.J. Armstrong. Jordan had it knocked away. And it will be Cavalier ball. Cav for the 46-38 lead. 5:23 remaining in the second quarter. Mike Sanders done a nice job to this point defending against Michael Jordan. Little change-up that may be affecting Jordan.
I think both Mike Sanders and Gerald Wilkins have that inner toughness where they're willing to fight Michael Jordan, who they know is a terrifically talented player. It's going to be a long afternoon or night when you play against him, but you play as hard as you can against him. Hope for the best.
Sanders now has 6 points. Jordan went to his left and was able to feed Grant. So since the change defensively, Jordan has collected 3 assists. 8-point lead for Cleveland. Make it 10 as Price hits on his 3rd field goal. He has 8.
Price wearing that little brace on his thumb is the result of a sprained thumb, which kept him out of a few games, and it won't really get well totally until the season ends and he has a chance to rest it. But one thing it has done is affect the number of shots he takes each game. Look a little more to pass now, but shoot and score.
Well, Nance took a shot at Jordan off a switch, and Michael was able to hit the jumper. He has 10 points. The Cavaliers 50, the Bulls 42. Cleveland has won 7 in a row. Chicago has won 5 straight. The Bulls a half game behind the Knicks as they vie for home court advantage in the playoffs. Price hit the deck, and a foul is called. It's on Armstrong.
We know Michael Jordan, the leading scorer in the NBA, almost 33 points per game, but this is what makes him the truly great player that he is. The ability to bring other defensive players to him and then play so unselfishly where he's willing to give up the basketball, but he also knows when to shoot, when to score.
Scottie Pippen and Bill Cartwright have checked back in. Brandon. Well, Brandon went 1-on-2, and Nance was right there to convert the rebound. Cleveland leads by 10 points. And now Brandon guarding Jordan. Nance switches off. Grant is open. And Pippen gets to it. Jackson for 3. Rebounded by Daugherty. Brandon hit taking his way. Nance with the rebound. And a loose ball foul is called. Well, the Cavaliers have been labeled time to time during the course of the past 2 years as a soft ball club, but they have come out and played extremely aggressively here in the first half.
Coming out this afternoon, it's a 2-2 tie between these teams as far as the season series goes. They understand that it could be Chicago they meet in round 2 of the playoffs, and before this home crowd, they would like to make a little bit of a statement that if we should happen to meet, we know we can beat the Chicago Bulls team. Now, on the other hand, it could be the New York Knicks that they meet in the second round. That's if they get through the first round.
Cleveland has been assured home court advantage in that opening round. And they have clinched at least the third seed in the East. They have a 12-point lead now with 3:20 remaining, first half.
Because the race is so close with so many teams, last night's victory by Charlotte over Atlanta changed who Cleveland's first-round opponent would be as Michael Jordan knocks out a 15-footer. Because of Charlotte's win last night, right now Atlanta would move down into that 8th position, would play the first-seeded team, and number 2 is Chicago, okay, would not have to play.
And that is a foul on Nance. His second timeout taken. Will be back in a moment. Back at the Coliseum in Richfield, Marv Albert with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad, just under 3 minutes remaining in the second quarter, and Cleveland leads Chicago by 10. Chicago Bulls, excellent road team, 26-12. They won 3 straight, 6 of the last 7 on the road. They swing the ball looking for the best possible shot. Rebounded by Daugherty.
Pretty good job recovering that time by the Cavalier team in defensive transition.
Sanders off the offensive board. Sanders again. Oh, Mike Sanders with his 4th field goal. He has 8 points. Mike Sanders back in the starting lineup. This is 10th straight start. He missed 29 games after undergoing arthroscopic surgery on his left knee. Always known as an outstanding defensive player. Jordan going in and out. Loose ball foul against Chicago. Bill Cartwright collects his third.
The ball looks like it's halfway down, comes back out again on Jordan, and then with this big size advantage, Bill feels I shouldn't be called for a foul jumping against Mark Price. No way.
And the best free throw shooter in the NBA, Mark Price, who has hit 2 out of 2 from the line, will have 2 more. He's 95% from the foul line.
All he made was 77 in a row this year, and the next one, if he would have made it, would have tied Calvin Murphy for the all-time record instead of just on number 78.
Cavaliers by 14 as we come up on 2 minutes remaining in the first half. Now it's Wilkins on Jordan. Into the fadeaway. He has 14 points. Jordan has hit 6 out of 12 from the field. He's 2 of 2 from the line. Cleveland leads by 12. Elo from downtown. Rebounded by Grant.
In the Cavaliers' last game here against the Orlando Magic, Elo tied his season high of 24 points and knocked out a number of 3-pointers against the Magic.
What a play by Jordan. He went to 2 or 3 options, did not have the shot, did not force it, and instead picked up another assist. That is 5 assists in the half. Wilkins wide open. Rebound Nance, fouled by Pippen. For Pippen, his first.
It's almost as if the entire Cavalier team has recognized what Jordan has done against them in previous games. They pay so much attention to him that they're letting him find open teammates for easy shots inside. Now, when you look at the offensive rebounding of this Cleveland Cavalier team, it's unusual to see them have this many offensive rebounds in not quite a half of basketball, because for the regular season, they rank 26 or next to last in the league in offensive rebounds. And there's some reasons for that, because they shoot the ball so well.
Cleveland this evening has killed the Bulls off the boards by the margin of 23 to 10. 1 minute remaining in the first half.
kind of plays, which are hard ones for officials to call because he'll stick his nose there. He'll take the physical punishment. He's not afraid to have the body contact or hit the floor.
Stacey King hurt his ankle earlier. Apparently all right. He's back in there. Michael Jordan played very well by Gerald Wilkins. It will be Cleveland ball. And Price pushes it down. Price. Oh. Trying to surprise the Bulls and get down court in a hurry.
Well, trying to get a quick shot up because he knew that with the 24-second clock and the game clock being where they were, if he got a quick one up, Chicago would have to shoot and Cleveland might still get one shot back.
Price shaken up.
He grabbed the back of his head after he took the jumper and landed out of bounds. He may have had a little contact with the head and a cameraman.
Mark stunned by the blow. Trying to hang in. There's new ground lenses.
Big lenses.
You're really into this business, you know? Meanwhile, the Cavaliers have missed 7 of their last 8 from the field. And Mark Price says he's all right. This the second part of our doubleheader here on NBC. Earlier, Portland defeated San Antonio 105-101. That puts the Blazers up 2 games over the Spurs with 4 games remaining. 20 seconds to go in the half. Differential on the shot clock of 3 seconds. Bulls down by 11. Paxson. Now that deflected away. He was trying to connect with King. And a 20-second timeout taken by Phil Jackson with 4 on the shot clock and 7.5 seconds remaining in the half.
Cleveland, not noted for its physical style of defense, has played excellent half-court defense. Daugherty getting up over the top of King, who was posted up down low for the deflection. What Cleveland has done basically is take away the first and second option of the Chicago Bulls and force the Bulls to go to options 3 or create one-on-one once the shot clock is run down.
And as we head to halftime, quick check of the individual scoring leaders. 14 apiece for George and Pippen. Grant with 12. Horace Grant coming off a strong game on Friday night. Larry Nance, 15 points, 8 rebounds. Mark Price, 10 points and 7 assists. 4 on the shot clock as Pippen gets set to throw in. Elo with the steal. Elo gets it down to Wilkins. Gerald Wilkins with 4/10 of a second remaining. Here's Pippen. And the officials blowing the whistle, stopping the clock. And apparently the Bulls will inbound again as they make an adjustment on the clock. 7/10 of a second remaining, and Bulls will throw it again. Now Stacey King for Scottie Pippen. Halftime at the Coliseum in Richfield, and the Cavaliers lead the Bulls 61-48.
The long lead pass to Wilkins, who's out in front with a score just before the half should end.
Cavaliers by 13 at halftime. Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report will be Hannah Storm and Quinn Buckner with all the scores and a look at this afternoon's action. We'll be back right after these messages.
Richfield Coliseum with the Cavaliers leading the Bulls 61-48. Back to the scene with the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs have been eliminated from the playoffs by the Bulls 3 of the last 5 seasons. How important would it be for them psychologically to win today and take the regular season series?
I think it's very important. Anytime there's an opportunity, you must take advantage of it. This is an opportunity for Cleveland to say, we're coming out to get you. They've done that in the first half, extended their defense, and this gives a message, hopefully, for the Bulls going into the playoffs should these 2 teams meet.
One stat really jumps out at you here. Cleveland's out-rebounding Chicago 24-10. We'll return things to Cleveland for the second half. The Cavs leading the Bulls by 13 points right after these messages.
Welcome Welcome back to the Coliseum in Richfield, Ohio. The Cavaliers with a 61-48 lead on the Chicago Bulls. Marv Albert with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello. The czar making his way into the prime time area. I kind of like the matchup, you and Andy Rooney. Give the czar a slight edge. Cavaliers with a blazing start in the first quarter. Shot 13 for 19 in the opening quarters. We take a look at the Miller Genuine halftime statistics. 55% shooting for the half for Cleveland.
Ahmad mentioned the aggressive play of this Cleveland Cavalier team, and when you talk about aggressiveness, how about rebounds? The Cavaliers a 24-10 advantage over the Chicago Bulls. One other area of aggressiveness, when people, one, shoot a lot of free throws, well, 20-6 advantage there. Secondly, those offensive boards, 7-3 offensive rebounds in favor of the Cavaliers.
And Ahmad is standing by with Cleveland Cavalier coach Len Wilkins. So let's go to Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Marv. Lenny, so much criticism about your team not being a physical team, but so far in the first half, you have crushed the Bulls on the boards.
Well, you know, a lot of that, Ahmad, is because we're not a great rebounding team, so people, you know, make assumptions that we're this or we're not that. But to win 50 games in this level of competition, you know, you got to be pretty aggressive.
All right, good luck to you in the second half, Coach. All right, back to you, Marv.
All right, Ahmad, a check of the leading scorers for the Chicago Bulls. Michael Jordan with 14. Scottie Pippen with 14. Horace Grant with 12. Larry Nance, outstanding first half. 5 of 7, 15 points, 8 rebounds. Mark Price, 10 points and 7 assists. 9 apiece for Elo and Daugherty. Cleveland Cavaliers here at home at 32-6. That's the third best home record in the NBA, behind the Knicks and the Suns. They have won the last 5. They've taken 17 of 18 here at home. Chicago, the best road team in the league at 26-12. Cartwright with the jump hook, rebounded by Nance. Third quarter underway. Cavaliers by 13. They led by as many as 16.
Speaking with Bill Cartwright prior to the game, looking at his minutes over the last couple of weeks, noticing that they're down as compared to what they normally have been in his career. Bill mentioning that he basically plays first quarter, plays third quarter, second and fourth quarter. He's been on the bench. 9 minutes in the first half for Bill Cartwright.
And maybe headed to the bench right here as he picked up his 4th foul. Bill Cartwright has had an injury hit season. Missed 16 games earlier with a sore back, sore knees. Right now, Phil Jackson not making a move. Cartwright remaining on the floor.
Because Phil basically knows how many minutes he expects to get out of Bill Cartwright. He'll just play it out. If he should happen to foul out now, so be it. And let him stay on the floor and play some extended minutes.
Armstrong and Jordan in the backcourt. Cartwright, Pippen, and Grant up front. They double up on Jordan. Grant, so once again, right there to find the open man.
That actually was the third cutter. You had Pippen going backdoor. You had Cartwright cutting down the middle of the lane. And then from the offside or away from the basketball, Grant flashed right into the middle to the opening. decided that he is going to make it happen on his own. He is going to create, and no one better than Michael Jordan at doing it.
16 points for Jordan. 2.5 gone by in the third. Grant with another good shooting performance. He's 7 for 10. He has 16 points Friday night in the win over Milwaukee. 8 for 10, 18 points.
What we see happening is in the first half, when Michael Jordan was the player putting it on the floor and creating, he had the assist. Now Scottie Pippen taking over, putting it on the floor, getting into the heart of the Cleveland defense. That leaves somebody else open for open shots. It happens to be Grant, the recipient of the pass.
Sanders gets inside. Pippen thought he was pushed. Back to the subject of Horace Grant. He is now very much part of the offense. You recall earlier this season complained that he was out of it, that he was not getting his shots. Pippen passed on the 3, goes to the 2. Scottie Pippen with 16. Cavaliers lead 67-56.
Very nice in-between game, meaning that 12-foot game of Scottie Pippen. Not the long perimeter shot, no drive all the way to the basket, but you have the ability to pull up and shoot it halfway there.
Daugherty, with only his third field goal attempt, he's hit 2 out of 3. Started at the line, has 13 points in all. Cavaliers by 13. Cartwright. Bill Cartwright knows the open jumper for his first field goal. The Cavaliers lead by 11. Cleveland at 15-27, second in the Central, 5 games behind Chicago. Beautiful lead. Place and Daugherty combining. These two clubs just going back and forth and trading baskets.
Probably Michael Jordan wouldn't have given B.J. Armstrong that pass against other point guards that are bigger than Mark Price. But he looked it over. He decided, you know what, even with the late pass, B.J. can still shoot it over the top of it, so he gave him a late look.
They hit their last 4 shots.
Attention to Mark Price when he comes off the screens because he has the ability to shoot it or complete it himself. That he gets defensive players out of position. The result, his big man Daugherty gets a nice score.
Like this, the Bulls' first trip to the foul line since back in the first quarter. And free throw shooting, not a strong area for Chicago. They are 7 for 7 today, but they are 22nd in the league, only 73%.
And both of these teams pay very few visits to the foul line during the course of basketball games. Cleveland, 23rd in the league, they shoot just under 26 free throws a game. Chicago, 25th in attempts, shooting just 24 a game. So, he's not noted going to the line a whole lot.
Scottie Pippen called for his second. Bulls chipping away at the lead. They're within 9 with 5 minutes gone by. Third quarter. Wilkins replacing Mike Sanders. Sanders hearing the applause. Sits down with 10 points. And that away from the ball is called on Armstrong. Timeout being called. Cavaliers lead 71-62. Valuable player race will be a very tough call. Leading candidate, that man, Michael Jordan, along with Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Hakeem Olajuwon, and that Jordan has won 3 MVP awards, and many will feel that will hurt him. I asked Michael, does he feel that he'll get a fair shake?
No way. You know, when you look at the past history, even with Magic, even with Larry, and with myself, we set such high standards for ourselves that we have to shock the world with certain numbers just to be considered once again. I think all of our numbers have been very consistent from year to year. I'm pretty sure people get tired of seeing those consistent numbers, and if nothing that slaps you in the face, then you're not going to get to serious contention. I realize that, and I don't have any ill feelings against Charles and winning it, and Patrick and Hakeem is playing extremely well. But I know from my consistent numbers, it isn't any thought in my mind that I won't be in contention.
I don't know how other people may vote, but this man certainly deserves every ounce of consideration. The Bulls are playing a 78th game during this regular season. Without Cartwright, he's only played in 58, Paxson just 54. They still are right up there with one of the top records in the NBA, thanks to Michael Jordan.
Illegal defense called for the first time against the Cavaliers. Cleveland 73, Chicago 62, 6:20 remaining. In the third quarter, Jordan now posting up on Wilkins. Pass intended for Grant. Able to recover. Pippen for three. And Price able to get to it. Price pulling it away from Jordan.
Not only did Jordan try to rebound that basketball, he tried to, in the same motion, tip it to his own teammate, Grant, who he saw in the lane.
Jordan and Wilkins. Big points. He's hit 4 out of 6 from the field. The Cavaliers by 13. Pippen with the spin. Knocked away by Elo.
There's a battle on the glass. Michael Jordan knows Grant's behind him. He tries to actually tip it to Grant. Instead, Price comes up with the ball, takes off to lead the transition offense of the Cavaliers.
Whoa, what an intriguing play that was. It was an alley-oop off the inbound. An offensive foul was called. The foul on Jordan, his third. Look at this.
The push with the left hand. Michael wants to fake like he's coming off the screen on the side of the lane. Use the left hand to move Wilkins out of the way. The foul call.
Daugherty. Open shot. Hits. Put downtown. Wilkins pulled away. 16-point lead. Action will finish of the night. Yes. Cavaliers 78 and the Bulls 64. Before a sound crowd. Better than 20,000 here at the Coliseum in Richfield. Look out. Both Elo and Price go down in front of the Chicago bench. And it will be Bulls ball.
Price tried to give a little change of pace that time. They believed he was going to come over the half-court line, slow up, then suddenly took off, tried to get into the heart of the defense, and dribbled back out again, and that's where he lost his footing.
Pippen. Yes. Scottie Pippen with 20 points. He had been off the mark the last 4 games, but turning it around here, 7 of 11 shooting for Pippen. He's at 2 from 3-point land. Daugherty. We're down to 4.5 remaining in the third quarter. Pippen with the hesitation dribble, fouled by Nance. For Nance, his third.
And Lenny Wilkins was just encouraging his team to close down the lane when Pippen and Jordan drive. He basically wants to force them to kick the ball out to open teammates who have to make jump shots. Instead, once again, Pippen able to get to the rim on his dribble penetration.
That was only the 10th personal foul called on the Cavaliers. Crowd reacting to the miss by Grant. Chicago now 8 of 9 from the line. Scottie Pippen last 4 games averaging 9.3. Season average just over 19, and he has had a good one here tonight.
Well, it shouldn't be a surprise that the Cavaliers haven't fouled a lot because they are last in the NBA as far as number of personal fouls they commit each game.
That adds to the reputation of not being a physical ball club. Nance with the rebound and punches it out. Price for 3. Last touch by Cartwright. Really got to be difficult, though, for Lenny Wilkins. Here's a Cleveland team that has been so successful. They win 50 games once again, third time in franchise history, and he ends up constantly defending his team.
There are different ways of playing good defense. You don't have to necessarily be overly aggressive, physical, commit a lot of fouls, foul a lot of guys out. The old Celtic team who had great size, would switch everything and be a terrific defensive team, unlike some other styles of play.
With the deflection to break it up. And a timeout has been called with 3:52 to go. Coliseum in Richfield, and the Cavaliers lead the Bulls 78-66. Really Chicago ball as we resume.
Chicago trying to find the one spurt defensively where they can finally stop the Cavaliers from scoring, get some transition scores themselves, generate some offense through their defense. It's a very difficult team to do that against because they protect the basketball so well. The big plus for Cleveland today is the way they're crushing Chicago on the glass.
Michael Jordan now in the backcourt with Trent Tucker. Now wanted to travel on Scottie Pippen. He's up front with Bill Cartwright. Price with the steal. And Tucker looking to knock it away was called for the foul.
I think Phil Jackson has Trent Tucker out there hoping that perhaps Tucker can get behind that three-point line. Pippen, who's been dogged by Elo, the deflection in air, and then the pickup by Price, and Tucker saves the layup by committing the foul. I was mentioning Trent Tucker is one of those guys who, with his long-range shooting, can knock out 2 or 3 three-pointers and really get the energy back into the ball.
Elo getting the energy going with his second straight from downtown. He has 15 points. He's had an outstanding game. Cavaliers extend to a 15-point lead. Jordan, oh, beautiful move by Michael Jordan, accelerating to his left. That began up high by beating Wilkins. Jordan has 18. 81-68 Cleveland. Just under 3 minutes left in the third. Grant in a battle with Hotline Williams. Elo for 3. Wilkins gets to it. Price shooting. Open shot from Mark Price.
Bill Cartwright was way back off of the player that set the screen. That was Cartwright's man. He has to step up and give some help, show a little bit. Tucker gets bumped off. Price gets a wide open look. He's too good a shooter.
Now Jordan played by Elo. And a rare travel call on Michael Jordan.
Jordan gave so many foot fakes that he may have lost track himself. What was going on? He just didn't put the ball down in time before he moved his feet. You got 1, you got 2, and then a little stutter right there. Good call by the official.
Cavaliers have done a superb defensive job against Jordan. They have made him work very, very hard for whatever he has been able to do. He's 8 for 16 overall with 18 points. Tucker in the open floor. Rebound knocked away. Last touch by the Cavaliers. Now Terrell Brandon checks back in, replacing Mark Price. Sits down with 12 points and 7 assists. John Paxson being sent in by Phil Jackson. And Michael Jordan will come out. 18 points, 8 assists for Jordan. With Cartwright, Pippen, and Grant up front. Bulls having difficulty locating a shot. Offensive foul. What a job by Craig Elo. First against Jordan, and now against Pippen, and Pippen is hurt.
Looked like Scottie Pippen grabbed that right ankle after the collision when he went down to the ground.
Scottie Pippen has been bothered this season earlier in the year by tendonitis in his right ankle. That's the same injury that plagued him against the Knicks in the playoffs last season. Earlier, he was playing through the injury. The Bulls traded Chip Schaefer out to take a look as we get another look at it.
He almost turns it twice. First on the sneaker, then after it lands on the sneaker, then he turns it back over again. So it actually moved 2 different times, that right ankle. Again, sneaker, and then after the sneaker, the turn on the floor.
Bulls take a timeout with 1:39 remaining in this third quarter. Scottie Pippen involved with Frank Elo. Appears to turn to the ankle. Needs help. Will help him back to the locker room.
Elo gets the good position. His foot is planted, and that's the foot where Pippen steps on top of it. Then the right foot turns back over on the floor. Scottie Pippen is hurting.
Obviously, a major blow to the Chicago Bulls as Scottie Pippen heads off. Going into tonight's play, the Chicago Bulls trailing the New York Knicks by a half game in that race for home court advantage in the playoffs. The Knicks and the Bulls will meet right here on NBC next Sunday afternoon. It will be their 4th and final meeting of the regular season. Knicks won 2 of the previous 3 in that first game between these two clubs. Patrick Ewing, 26 points, 15 rebounds, leading the Knicks to victory. Christmas night in Chicago, Michael Jordan with 42 points, and the Bulls able to even up the series. Third meeting again in Chicago. Jordan sat out. He was suspended for the fight with Reggie Miller. Ewing dominated, 36 points, 15 rebounds, and the Knicks made it 2 out of 3 on the season.
So when you talk about the playoffs and what happens, here's the way that the ties are broken. First of all, head-to-head against each other. Well, the Knicks lead right now 2-1, but we know that could be 2-2 at the end of next week. You go to the next thing, conference record. Well, after today's game, the Bulls would either be 38-14 or 37-15. And you see New York is 38-14. You have to go to the next level in case the first 2 are evened up. Then it's the winning percentage of these teams versus other playoff teams.
Right now, the concern of the Bulls, though, is injury suffered by Scottie Pippen. As soon as we get word, we'll pass on a report. 1:25 left in the third quarter, down to 6 on the 24. Wilkins with the open jump. And it's rebounded by Daugherty. Lost it. Stripped by King. Good play by Stacey King. Cavaliers lead by 15. And a most unusual situation now as Michael Jordan had to make his return and was able to hit. I started to say that the Bulls rarely go without either Pippen or Jordan on the floor, but with Pippen going down, Jordan was put back in a hole.
You know, I knew you were getting ready to say that. I was ready to help you out in case you did happen to say that.
Daugherty posting up. And that's a goal tag. It will count.
Well, I like the move that Phil Jackson has done right now by putting Jordan back on. But for a second, we'll look at the defense. That time, Scott Williams tries to come over and help. Ball's on its way down.
And Michael Jordan drills a jump shot. So Jordan off the bench to hit the drive and the jumper.
I'm starting to say I like what Phil Jackson is doing by bringing Jordan back out. He knows that Michael will draw so much attention. He has 2 3-point shooters in Paxson and Tucker on the wings to make some offensive situations develop through Jordan's dribbling and then hopefully create some open shots for the Bombers.
8 points for Hot Rod Williams. Foul called on Gerald Wilkins, his third.
No problem. Cleveland has foul again.
Both teams down with 4. Team fouls. Jordan had knocked away by Wilkins. Here's Brandon for Elo. The Cavaliers' strong defensive play continues. Time running out in the third quarter. Biggest lead Coliseum in Richfield, Ohio. Capacity crowd better than 20,000 on hand. Their 15th sellout record for the franchise. Chicago with a run early third, but Cleveland scoring the Bulls 28-24 in the third. They lead by 17 as this fourth quarter gets underway.
You have to be impressed with Cleveland's defense. 23, 25, 24 in these first three quarters given up defensively by the Cavaliers.
Both clubs have shot well. Chicago 52% for the game. Cleveland at 55%. The difference at the foul line and off the ball. Daugherty with the box out rebound. Offensive foul on Brandon. It is a shot. Chicago now with a three-guard setup. Tucker, Paxson, and Jordan, along with Stacey King and Scott Williams. The Cavaliers also with the three guards, Elo, Brandon, and Wilkins. Here's Jordan. Yes. He's hitting the jump shot now, has 24 points. Cavaliers 89, the Bulls 74. Michael 11 for 19. He's hit his last three. Well, the crowd wanted offensive interference. Tucker trying to reset. Bulls really struggling to get off good shots. Here's Scott Williams. Back comes Brandon. And he was held by Paxson. Time for a report on the Scottie Pippen injury. Let's go over to Ahmad Rashad.
All right, thanks, Marvin. Update on Scottie. He has a mild to moderate sprain of the right ankle. It is the same right ankle that he hurt last year. He has had tendonitis in it the entire year. They just took x-rays for precautionary measures. He will not play anymore today. Marv?
All right, Ahmad. Scottie Pippen, who was playing hurt earlier this season, working off the ankle injury, is out for the rest of the game, and he was having a good one. 20 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Stacey King picks up that foul, his second.
So if you're looking ahead to that matchup against the Knicks next Sunday, in between that time, the Chicago Bulls have Philadelphia at home, Detroit at home, Charlotte away before they get to New York. There's no telling how long Scottie Pippen will be out.
On the other hand, will face Miami Tuesday in Miami. Here's Ahmad Williams off the offensive boards, and he'll go to the line. And the Knicks play the Nets at home on Wednesday, on to Philly, and they wind up with the Bulls on Sunday. We'll be back in a moment.
Miller Genuine Drafts presents Genuine Moments.
This Miller moment takes us back to last Saturday night. Danny Ferry getting the pass from Mark Price. Hits the 18-foot buzzer beater, leading the Cavaliers over Chuck Daly's Nets 100-99. And then 3 days later in Atlanta, Ferry sends the game into overtime. The Cavs go on to win in double OT 112-109. In recognition of these moments, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. And that's the way it's gone for Danny Ferry. He's played well recently, has not played at all here this evening.
Lenny Wilkins doesn't worry about what newspaper articles say, what he hears through radio and TV, criticism of the substitution patterns. He coaches each game as it comes along and makes decisions as to what players can be effective for in those particular games and which ones can't. Another guy who's made a tremendous adjustment, John Battle, who was a key sub coming off the bench a year ago for the Cavaliers, but now with Terrell Brandon playing many more minutes. Basically, Battle just sits and when it's his turn, then he just takes advantage of the opportunity.
Brandon set up that steal, getting a piece of it. This is Brandon with the ball. Hot Rod Williams. And Wilkins to tip it home. Darryl Wilkins has been a major factor. He has 10 points. 17-point Cleveland lead. Stacey King scooping with the left hand for his second field goal.
As Michael Jordan mentioned, one of the reasons why Wilkins has had some success against him is he likens him to himself as far as the size, the strength, the aggressiveness, the toughness, the athleticism, and certainly showed on that play by Darryl Wilkins.
Williams
third position. Well, that guy right there, Gerald Wilkins, helps lead the aggressiveness on this team. The near steal that time, Jordan gets it back and just can't get it going as he attempts the three-pointer.
As we mentioned earlier, Gerald Wilkins in the past as a member of the Knicks had done a nice job defensively against Jordan. That's a challenge violation. Now, that's not going to occur every matchup. While Hugh Evans over the Chicago bench, upset and apparently is calling a technical foul. Let's see. Or is it a warning? No, he called the tee. Out of system coach Jim Clemens, a one-time Cleveland Cavalier.
Jim trying to get into the action.
Mark Price missing a free throw. So he is 4 out of 5 from the line. Mark Price with only his 14th free throw miss. He's taken 289 this season. It counts and the foul.
That's his, I believe this, how about this one? The entire season, only 2 misses at home for Mark Price.
Larry Nance collecting his 4th. Mark Price shooting 95% from the foul line. 25 points for Jordan. 4 minutes gone by in the 4th. Cavaliers 93 and the Bulls 79. Chicago without Scottie Pippen. He's out the rest of the way because of a sprained ankle. Wilkins guarded by Jordan. Jordan is going for the steal. And Wilkins came up short. He claims he was fouled. For Scott Williams. Yes. And the Bulls are very much alive. They trail by as many as 17. They are now down by 12.
The execution of the Bulls' half-court offense. As soon as the double team is felt, the players move to their open areas respectively, and then their willingness to give up the basketball to one another.
One-on-one move by Williams. Williams in a strong drive. He has 12. Cavaliers by 14. Just under 7 minutes remaining 4th quarter. Here's Jordan. Oh, he was able to hang and hit 27 for Michael Jordan. Cavaliers 95 and the Bulls 83. Price blocked by Paxson. Cavaliers take a timeout. Paxson picks up the foul. That is his 4th. We'll be back in a moment.
The Bulls' offensive execution. Grant in the hole receives a pass from his teammate Tucker, who passes and cuts to the basket. Now, after that, Cleveland will come back and double team late. When the man goes to the lane, now the Cavaliers decide to come back and 2-team late. What it does is it leaves 2 Bulls players against 1 defender, so just step up into the open area and look for your pass. Excellent job by the Bulls.
Lazar of the telescope. And do you believe Mark Price has just missed for the 2nd time tonight? He is now 4 of 6 from the line.
Tomorrow probably shoot 2,000 or 3,000 free throws.
Beat himself up a bit. Cavaliers lead 96-83. Here's Paxson. Yes. John Paxson with his first field goal. 11-point Cleveland lead. Bulls with 3 timeouts remaining. Cavaliers 3 and a 20.
It must be a 4th quarter thing with the Cavaliers and free throws. You mentioned that in the last game against Orlando in the 4th quarter. They struggled to foul.
And the man who will go to the line, Hot Rod Williams, who was sandwiched on that play and fouled by Scott Williams, had his problems the other night.
That's his 3rd.
Cleveland is 10 of 20 from the line the last 9 minutes of the 4th quarter Friday night in the victory over Orlando. Reminder tonight, right here on NBC. this eyewitness video, and then Christian Slater and Patrick Dempsey, they did not take orders. They took over. Monsters on television. That's tonight right here on NBC. And for Gerald Wilkins, Terrell Brandon also sitting down. Sanders, who has played well, checked back in. Cavaliers lead by 12 with just under 6 minutes remaining in the game. B.J. Armstrong, Michael Jordan, John Paxson comprising the three-guard lineup with Horace Grant, Scott Williams up front. Out of 6 on the 24. Sanders now defending against Jordan. Out of 2. Jordan to Armstrong. Just didn't get it off.
B.J. had to catch real quick and get that thing up because he knew the 24-second clock had just about expired. To get a real good feel for the ball.
And will be Cleveland ball. Daugherty is back. Hot Rod Williams. 13 points on 5 out of 6 from the field. Cavaliers getting balanced scoring. City low at the guards. Sandy, Daugherty on the front line. Shot clock down to 2. And Williams with the rebound. Nice pass. Scott Williams for Horace Grant. 20 for Grant. Well, the Cavalier lead is now 10. And here's some light pressure by the Bulls.
Tremendous understanding by both of these teams of where their people are supposed to be on the floor offensively. When the defense makes one move, they look for the counter immediately.
That is a reach-in on Scott Williams. Fourth on Williams.
That's his fourth.
Cleveland has won 7 in a row, equaling a season high. Chicago has won 5 straight. And the Bulls now being hurt by being over the limit. Cleveland with only 1 team foul. Getting a friendly rim. That normally is upsetting for Price. 12-point Cavalier lead. Bulls continue to have difficulty setting up the shots. Sanders going for the hole. Aside from Jordan, who's able to do it by himself, the Bulls have had to work very hard to get this done.
Because the Bulls team is comprised of players who they're like pieces to the puzzle. They have their respective jobs they do. It all comes off the result of Pippen or Jordan penetrating.
Timeout taken with 4:22 left in the game.
NBA playoffs pass.
The inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win!
The 1993 NBA playoffs, beginning in 2 weeks, here on the NBA on NBC.
In a Chicago ball as we resume. 4:20 remaining in the fourth. Jordan off the mark. Recovered by Armstrong. Yes. B.J. Armstrong going glass. Cavaliers 99. The Bulls 89.
You sense a little bit right now that Chicago feels they're close enough to still have a shot at Cleveland and that they've got to make something happen big defensively. There it is.
Nice ball. The Czar has done it again as Paxson comes up with the steal. Jordan played by Sanders once again. On a switch, it is Elo defending against Jordan, who's working along the baseline. Shot clock down to 5. Armstrong with the step and rejected.
Phil Jackson had told B.J. Armstrong a couple minutes ago that if he winds up with Sanders playing him, you've got to be able to beat him off the dribble and Wilkins and his staff certainly felt that this ball was in the cylinder when Williams went up and fouled it. That look makes it seem like it's off to the right side. It was out of the cylinder.
Michael Jordan, 84% free throw shooter.
There's the timeout. Lenny Wilkins wants to get the group organized. Everybody on the same page, understanding what they're trying to accomplish.
The Bulls have their chances. 2 3-point shots that have rimmed out. A reminder, next Sunday, another NBA doubleheader right here on NBC. First, a playoff preview. The two best teams in the East square off at Madison Square Garden in New York. The Bulls go up against the Knicks. And then Isaiah Thomas and the Detroit Pistons battling for the final playoff spot in the East. Eric Coleman and the New Jersey Nets going up against the Pistons. Coverage beginning 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time with NBA Showtime. Cavaliers in the fourth quarter have hit only 3 out of 11. A minute 15 remaining in the fourth. 6-point Cleveland lead. Nance hits an enormous shot.
You just feel a little bit better when you get your team regroup, reorganize. Everybody understands what you're trying to do with a minute 30 remaining in the basketball game, holding a 6-point lead, and then good things seem to happen.
Rodney McCray has come on. Has not played at all. He's in there for the first time. Jordan is fouled. Sanders does not like the call.
Jordan accomplishing what he wanted to have the clock stopped and the opportunity to put points on the scoreboard for his team.
Sanders called for his 5th. So Jordan to the line. He is 5 of 5 from the line. 31 points, 9 assists to Michael Jordan. What if Mark Price can miss a couple? I guess Michael Jordan can miss.
And you know that the crowd is going to remind them that they know he just missed it.
The Cavaliers 101. And the Bulls 94, 55 seconds remaining fourth quarter. Cavaliers should be in no hurry. The Bulls are over at the limit, and they're forced to get the foul. That won't count.
Now, the reason Phil Jackson's upset right now is why would you let 14 seconds run off the game clock and the 24-second clock only to turn around and then foul the best free throw shooter in the NBA? If you're going to do it, you might as well do it right away and save some seconds for yourself to score on offense. You want to foul the 4 free throw shooters.
Mark Price is now 8 of 10 from the line. And Phil Jackson takes a timeout with 43 seconds remaining fourth quarter. Following the ball game, most of these NBC stations will see eyewitness video, and then it's the television premiere of Monsters. Viewers on the West Coast will see these shows at their regularly scheduled time. as they break the huddle. They lead 103-94. Tucker. Three-pointer shot. Out of 30 seconds. Jordan setting up for a three. Dribble was knocked into the backcourt. Last touch by Elo. Cavaliers looking to make it 8 straight wins. 19 of the last 20 at home. And looking to stop the Chicago win streak at 5. It's a Cleveland team that began the season at 8 and 11, and they have come a long way in recent months. Jordan for three. Once again, wins the basket. He's had a couple of those here tonight. Armstrong stepped out of bounds. It'll be Cleveland ball with 14 seconds left.
You mentioned the Cavaliers started out 8 and 11. A couple of reasons for that. Daugherty was out early in the season because of knee problems. Then they started with 6 of their first 9 games on the road, away from home, an extended West Coast trip.
20-second timeout taken by Elo, who could not find anyone.
You mentioned how well this team has played after the initial 8 and 11 beginning. Well, in actuality, when you look at New York, you look at Chicago, what they've done since December 12th, and you look at this Cavalier team, they are right there amongst the elite teams in the Eastern Conference as far as their record goes in the stretch run.
And what Lenny Wilkins has to be particularly delighted about is the fact that this Cavalier team came out in very aggressive fashion, and they destroyed the Bulls off the boards. You can see the discrepancy in terms of going to the foul line, and they just severely outplayed.
Yes, on an afternoon when some may have questioned what their motivation was exactly locked into third place, but each player, in speaking with them yesterday, mentioned that, look, this is a big rivalry for us. We have something to prove. They are the world champions. It's 2-2 in the season series. We'd like to say that we won the season series 3-2 and set that tempo, that mood, should we have to meet them in the playoffs.
The Bulls will put the Knicks a game in front in their Eastern Conference battle. If the playoffs would start right now, these are the matchups in the East. The Knicks would play Atlanta, Indiana with the victory today, moving to the number 7 seed. They would go up against Chicago, Boston, New Jersey, Cleveland, Charlotte. Incidentally, Cleveland has won 3 out of 4 this season against the Charlotte Hornets, who have really come on as of late. And the West, these would be the matchups if it all began today. Phoenix would open against the Los Angeles Lakers. It would be Portland, San Antonio, Seattle against Utah, and a first-round matchup of Houston and the Los Angeles Clippers.
I got a little tongue-tied earlier in the first half. Yeah, just a little bit. And I started to mention just the results of last night's game, Charlotte, Atlanta, and this one here this afternoon. Atlanta, who is 0-5 this season against the Cleveland Cavaliers, had been paired up all along for the last couple of weeks against Cleveland. But by Charlotte winning, they moved ahead, moved into the 6th spot. They wind up going against Charlotte, Cleveland, and Atlanta drops down. Now we'll play either New York or Chicago.
Zards that prime-time pressure. And Cleveland is looking to run the clock out. Jordan deflecting out of bounds with 4 and 4/10 seconds remaining. Michael Jordan, the high man with 32, had to work very hard for his shot opportunities. Finished 13 for 26. Larry Nance, 19 points and 12 rebounds as Cleveland got balanced scoring 17 apiece for Daugherty, Twice, and Elo. The tough news for the Bulls, they lost Scottie Pippen earlier with a sprained ankle. The Cavaliers end up shooting 51%. Once again, the final score, the Cavaliers 103 and the Bulls 94. For Mike Fratello and Ahmad Rashad, I'm Marv Albert. This has been a presentation of the NBA on NBC as you look at the lineup tonight.